Okay, so good evening, everyone. This is Sarvesh Bhardwaj, and as per our schedule, we are going to study today about the history of astronomy. I hope we are connected live. Thank you for joining this session. Today, we will try to understand the history of this subject, astronomy. The word astro plus nomi. Astro means stars. Nomi means rules, law. Astronomy means rules of the stars. All the stars in our sky, they are like the king. The planets revolves around the stars. So this word astronomy, it's actually one of the ancient word, which means rules of the stars. And it also means like law of the stars, like the planets behave according to the law. Okay. So the first thing we should know about this history, although there are like contribution of a lot of people in this subject, this is like the mother of all sciences. Every single science you study has originated from space science. But we will cover the important contributions as per our understanding. The first contribution is of Plato. Plato was considered as one of the greatest philosophers till the time today. So during Plato's time, the written languages were not really popular. Plato was a great thinker, a great philosopher who talked about astronomy, and he said, God has created Earth in the center of universe. Okay, so according to him, God has created this planet in the center of universe, and every single object revolves around Earth. Is that true? God has created Earth in the center of the universe. Now, Plato's philosophy was popular. People respected him. Obviously, this theory also got popular. After Plato's death, one of his follower called Aristotle made world's first diagram of universe. Right now, you're going to look at a diagram which is said the universal diagram. See, we are talking about a time when written languages were not really popular. Mathematics was not in a picture, although maths existed, but it was not like really popular. Experimental science was not popular. So whatever some respected people in community conveyed, we had to follow it. So Aristotle was a great follower of Plato. And with his philosophy, he made world's first content on the diagram of our universe. When we look into this diagram where Earth is in the center, planets like Venus, Mercury, even Sun revolves around the Earth. This was the perception, what they believed at that time. So in history, we believe that Earth is fixed. See, every morning people like used to say that the sun rising in the east, setting in the west, and that gives a very normal impression that, the sun is revolving around the Earth. So according to this ancient Greek philosophy, our planet is like heaven, which is fixed in the center, and every object, what you see, like other stars, all the planets, the moon, the sun, everything revolves around Earth. One way to look at this diagram is like it's completely wrong. Why do they believe in it? But if you look at the other side of it, this is the first prototype. This is a kind of first diagram where we started believing that, this is how the universe is designed. So we may be wrong, but the time when people were thinking there's a flying horse in the sky, there's a queen in the sky, like constellation, there's a kite in the sky, a bear in the sky, at that time coming with a diagram, what itself was a huge achievement. So Aristotle should get credit for it and Plato for his thinking. After this diagram, Ptolemy, another third Greek philosopher. So Plato was a Greek philosopher. Aristotle was a Greek philosopher. They both were priests too. For Ptolemy added his own spice over here. And for Ptolemy, the third Greek philosopher, said, some of the planets rotate also. His contribution is really great here about the rotation of planet, but he couldn't explain why and how and which all planets rotate. Earth is still in his diagram. Till now, we started talking about astronomy. Till now, we started talking about the positions of planets. Till now, we started talking about fixed position of Earth. What next is going to happen is not really nice. Few mathematicians went to the church. Now, church was like, the government of that time. So going to the church was not to pray, rather to take appeal that this diagram is wrong. Few of the mathematicians, some books have also mentioned about 18 mathematicians went to the church for the appeal that this is not a correct diagram. We can make a better diagram of universe. Church rejected their idea, saying that if you include more of science in it, people will start going away from God's theory and they may believe in something which is not there. So there was a contradiction between science and religion. Although it kept on increasing over the period of time, out of 18, 16 were burnt alive by the public. The people believed these people are, going against God or will take society, our children's against God. And they were burnt. In fact, world's first cosmologist was burnt. Seeing all this in mind and looking at this, there was another astronomer actually a mathematician called Nicholas Copernicus. Copernicus feared death. He thought, if I go and talk and say that this diagram is wrong, they'll kill me also. Better keep quiet on this story. Copernicus was a genius mathematician. Till now, I only told you about philosophers. Now it's an entry of one mathematician. I think this is the only portrait of Nicholas Copernicus what we have. Copernicus was a genius. He thought, if I go and talk about this, they'll kill me. Better stay away from this hangama. But he was not well. He was in his mid-age. He was not well. Some kind of stomach intestinal infection he developed. And doctor said, you have very less time, like 6 months. That was the time when he said, why don't I go and talk to the public about this? Why don't I go and confront the church on the philosophy of the system where Earth is in the center? It's not true. So he did the same. Because doctor told him that you are going to anyway die, being a genius mathematician, he thought at least one good thing I should do is go and talk to the church. Whatever will happen after that, anyway, I'm going to die. So he went with this diagram now, which is on your screen. This is his original handwritten diagram. I'll show you better clear diagram. This is the clear one. This is the handwritten one. So let me just brief you about the differences between both the diagram. The first diagram of Aristotle and the second diagram of Copernicus. The first diagram is actually called geocentric model. Geocentric model. GEO means earth, ground. Ground in the center means geocentric model. Whereas on the right side, we have this Copernicus model, which is called heliocentric model. Why we call it heliocentric model? Helios in the center. The sun in the center. That's why we call it heliocentric model. What is the difference? In that diagram, Earth was believed to be in the center. Here, the sun is in the center. And all the planets revolve around sun. Copernicus was amazed with one ancient Indian scientist's work. It was very difficult for Copernicus to put a proper orbit of moon. So when you look in this diagram, there are two orbits after Terra, T-E-R-R-A, that is for Earth. So there are two blank orbits, one before Terra and one after Terra. They are blank. Copernicus had no idea how moon revolves around the Earth and then revolves around the sun. With his blank idea, he was not able to explain that. Rest he explained that the planets revolve around the fixed object called sun. And that's why we call it heliocentric model. I was saying that the Copernicus was very much impressed with one scientist work in India in 2nd century BC itself. In the 5th century BC itself, Aryabhatta identified that the Earth spins in 24 hours. 24 hours is equal to 1 day, which was almost impossible to calculate even in the time of Copernicus. So Copernicus was like amazed with the Indians' work. You might be thinking that, sir, we Indians have done all this before also, like in our ancient text, all these diagrams are placed correctly where sun is in the center and planets in the center. Students, the reality is if you write that in your Olympiads or in your entrance exam of space science, your answer will be proved wrong. Our ancient text is our belief. In the International Astronomical Union doesn't believe in it. So if we did something really great in past, it's a history. In current date, in 2023 or 2024 or any year, when you appear for these exams, you have to follow one philosophy which is believed by the International Astronomical Union. You might be thinking like, why not? Why don't we include this? So I can tell you that even Chinese have written in Chinese language something which is not believed by IAU. Every country has got their own history. And maybe we are the most advanced civilization from past, but are we the most developed country right now? And do you want me to believe in something what already happened and we couldn't take care of it? Do you have a book right now in your house which you can prove that this is how the planetary system is designed by us 5,000 years ago? We don't have that. And even if we have it, what will you do with that? That book is invalid in front of International Astronomical Union, which is accepted by worldwide right now. So if you are preparing for any international Olympiads, try to focus in the sequence what is a part of syllabus. Okay, I appreciate the Indians' work, especially the Aryabhatta's contribution, Bhaskaracharya's contribution in the Indian astronomy, but that's just ancient astronomy. And in the history of astronomy, always the sequence starts with the Greek astronomers. We cannot ignore their contribution too. Yes, maybe one day we will talk in detail about the contributions of Indian astronomers in past and in the modern time. But when we talk about the history of astronomy, we have to go by the syllabus, the content described by International Astronomical Union. Being a faculty of this subject, I feel that I should take you to the path through which you can be able to give a correct answer. Okay, being rich in history is one thing, but proving that right now in front of International Astronomical Union, we failed multiple times. Because being slave, we have lost many of our ancient documents, and today we just have it on our Instagram and Facebook running here and there. We did that, we did this, but what you are doing, you're just forwarding the picture. So, okay, come back to the Greek astronomy here. Greek astronomers actually believed that Earth is the center. Then a mathematician who was amazed with Indian astronomy mentioned that how Earth is revolving around the sun. Till now, Copernicus' entry was proved. What happened to Copernicus? So instead of people getting angry to him, the entire race was divided into two parts. There were scholars, philosophers who supported Copernicus, but at the same time, there were people who hated him, just hated him. The world was divided into two parts. Mathematicians, people with scientific tempers, supported him because he had a proper calculation why planets revolve around the sun. You must be thinking what he calculated. What was the calculation? So mostly his observations was related to the eclipses. He saw eclipses very closely. When you look at the eclipses very closely, you tend to see the shadows of the object, and that is only possible. So if I talk about lunar eclipse, the shadow of Earth on the moon, it's only possible when all of three are in plane. and moon and earth both are moving. The light source is stationary. That same happens in this case of when moon comes in between, solar eclipse. So Copernicus was able to somehow frame a new way of diagram with a lot of loopholes, not in-depth explanation, still the best explanation of our solar system. And this is how we got the first diagram of our solar system. Although it's not agreed, to say that this is a diagram by Copernicus of solar system. We had no difference between the universe, galaxy, and solar system that time. So we felt all are same. This is the universe. This is the world, actually. After this, after a few hundred years, telescope was invented. It was invented by Hans Lippershey, and then obviously Galileo tried to modify it. He modified it and used for observations. Now, Galileo Galilei brings the most in-depth information of our solar system. Galileo explains how planets revolve around the sun and how moons of these planets revolves around the planets itself. He also explained the orbit of moon, Earth's moon. Before this Galileo's work, we had no moon's orbit. We had no orbit for the moon. In fact, we haven't discovered any kind of moons of other planets. You may be wondering that the names mentioned in this diagram of Copernicus are really different, right? Like Mercury, Venus, it's same, but then Terra. Terra means ground, that is Earth. Then comes Martis Bima revolution, that's Mars. Louis XII Emron revolution, like that is Jupiter. Saturnus Ammo, that's Saturn. Obviously, these names are like a bit like gun or some bazooka, but actually they are the names of the king of that time. Uranus and Neptune they were not discovered that time. That's why it's not mentioned over here. Uranus and Neptune was discovered after Galileo's observation, after Galileo, in fact. So Galileo helped us to get in-depth knowledge, in-depth information of planets and orbits of planets. He was a very hard hustler who worked hard to develop an instrument which was designed to look at ground on surface to the space. He was a genius who helped us to understand how, when you think big, what all can happen to you. Telescope was invented for the purpose of ground observation. That time there was no CCTV camera. Kind of battle wars used to happen. So they used to keep this as a secret observer or spy. It was called spyglass. Galileo modified it, made that spyglass a telescope. When Galileo pointed the telescope towards the sky, that is the beginning of modern astronomy. We started looking at the sky in a very different way. Everyone, not just us, everyone made stories about sky. There is a flying kite in the sky. There is a Cassiopeia, a queen in the sky. Someone said there is a flying horse in the sky. There are kings in the sky. They're like hunters in the sky. Do you think there are hunters and flying horse in the sky? Galileo had a different observation. He knew that this is just stars. They are just stars. They are in a pattern, and it's human imagination. Oh, there's a lion in the sky. How could a lion be in the sky? So we made stories. We, all of us. Every ancient culture made stories about sky. And then someone comes with a telescope and changes that perception. It's good. It's a good way to remember the constellations with the stories, but it's not science. Some of us, and because of that story, nowadays, when I start with a new batch, I feel like the kids are distracted. They know that, oh, there is really a snake in the sky called Hydra. It's impossible to have a snake in the sky. That's just a pattern, world's largest constellation. We call it Hydra or Crux, the smallest constellation. These are just human imaginations or a pattern. And the stories are myth. Galileo understood it by observation. See, when he observed towards Jupiter, he saw 4 moons of Jupiter called Galilean moons: Io, Callisto, Europa, Ganymede. While he saw the movement of these 4 moons around Jupiter, he understood how Earth's moon revolves around Earth. This is how he actually described the orbit of moon. On your screen right now, this is the first book written by Galileo called Solar System. On the cover page of the book, the new diagram of solar system was published. I believe this is the birth of modern astronomy. From here, we started making bigger telescopes, better telescopes, and the journey started, and it is never-ending journey. Today, we have James Webb Telescope in space. 2021, 25th December, America launched one of the most expensive telescope called James Webb. The result is like amazing. So 400 years old telescope, the Galileo scope, and from there to the James Webb Telescope, this is the study of modern astronomy. In history, we started with really a very different diagram where we believed Earth is in the center, it's stable. You should know this fact. Nothing is stable in this universe. Every single object is moving. Every single object. You are moving, your bed is moving, your chair is moving, your laptop is moving, everything is spinning. Now, because we are inside it, because we are on a single planet, when we look at each other, we feel we are stable. To understand this situation, imagine you're traveling to your school with your school friends in a school bus. Now, when you look at your friend, both of you are like at rest. But if someone is observing you from outside, both of you are moving with the bus. So it depends on observer that who's moving and who's at rest. But overall, in astronomy, everything is moving. Your moon is moving towards a planet. Planet revolves around the sun. The solar system revolves around the center of Milky Way galaxy. And like solar system, other billions of solar system revolves around the center of Milky Way galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy and Andromeda galaxy both are moving towards each other, and next 4 billion years, they'll collide into one galaxy. Every single thing is moving. Nothing is stopped or still. That's all for today as a history of astronomy. Tomorrow, maybe we'll study about the space technology and artificial intelligence uses in space tech. So we will bring some modern tech of space in tomorrow's session. Yesterday, I asked you a question, and few of you have commented with the answer. The question was that how many black holes are there in Milky Way galaxy? So the correct answer is there are 100 million black holes in the Milky Way galaxy. Today, I'm giving you next question. And if you know the answer, you can just comment with the correct answer. Today's question is, when we understand the universe, we know that it's huge. You have to answer a question that how many galaxies are there in the observable universe? How many galaxies are there in the observable universe? I'll see you on Friday, probably at 9 o'clock or 9:05 with the next lesson on space tech with artificial intelligence. Till then, take care. See you. Bye-bye.